30th Sunday in Ordinary Time, ESC, October 26, 2025. Today's reflection centers on the theme of humility in prayer and God's justice. Last week, we were called to pray without getting weary. Today, Jesus, in his parable, shows us the right attitude to prayer. From his parable, we saw two kinds of prayer. A self-righteous prayer that is self-centered, whereas a humble prayer depends on God's grace and mercy. A self-centered prayer is like a filled-up jar with no space left to be filled, unlike an empty jar with plenty of room to be refilled. The Pharisees in the parable was filled up with a list of his accomplishments and had no space for God. But the reverse was the case for the tax collector, who stood in the truth before God. Be merciful to me, a sinner. The Lord hears the prayer of the humble, as the psalmist indicated. So today's gospel presents Jesus' parable of the Pharisees and the tax collector to show us the correct attitude for prayer. The Pharisees approached God boastfully, listing his virtues and judging others. He was like a filled-up jar, so full of his own self-righteousness that there was no room left for God's grace or mercy. In the end, his self-centered prayer earned him no justification. Unlike the Pharisees, the tax collector stood humbly and sincerely, beating his breast and praying only, "Be merciful to me, a sinner." He was the empty jar, acknowledging his flaws and dependence on God. His humble confession allowed God's mercy to pour in, and he went home justified. The lesson is clear. The one who humbles will be uplifted, and the one who exalts himself will be brought low. It's a reminder that true prayer isn't about bragging. It's about acknowledging our profound need for God's grace. The parable is a call to stand in the truth before God, to admit the times we have been broken down, judge the others, or be blinded by our own desires. On the other hand, both Sirach and the psalmist affirm that God actively hears and responds to the cry of the poor and the humble. They stress that God is impartial, yet he has a special ear for the marginalized. He plays no favorite, but is unduly in favor of the weak, coming to the aid of the poor, orphans, and widows. The Lord hears the cry of the poor. This goes along with God's signature to stand with the lowly. As the Blessed Mother proclaimed in the Magnificat, God uplifts the humble and brings the proud-hearted low. It is a powerful reminder of our universal need for God's mercy. We all are handicapped by sin and have fallen short of his grace. The words of St. Augustine warn against hiding our wounds from the divine doctor. Trying to cover our faults only hides them from ourselves and prevents healing, since God knows all. Augustine said, "Let the Lord cover your wounds, do not do it yourself. If you are ashamed to show them, the doctors will not be aware of them. May He cover them with a potent salve and heal them. The wound that the doctor treats will heal. However, if the sick person wishes to treat them, he will only succeed in hiding the truth. And from whom does he hide them? He asked. From the one who knows all. Ultimately, healing requires honesty in contrition and confession. Like the tax collector, we must stop exalting ourselves, judging others, or hiding our failings. Like St. Paul in the second reading, we are called to recognize our dependence on God as the one who upholds and rescues us. The parable is about recognizing our failings and to stand in the truth before God, to acknowledge that we have fallen short of God's glory, and with longing expectation to ask, "Be merciful to me, a sinner." The ultimate call is to embrace the longing expectation of St. Paul and the humble acknowledgement of sin of the tax collector. We are reminded that our true strength and justification come not from our own merit, but from simply calling upon God. On my pilgrimage journey to Medjugorje, as I had already shared, I came home renewed by the 5 stones of Medjugorje, which are also the holy habits of our faith. The invitation to prayer, fasting, daily Bible reading, confession, and Holy Mass, as well as the power of prayer through acts, prayer through adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, and supplication. I came out refreshed and reminded that no amount of prayer is enough, and how I need to pray more. We will all need to ask ourselves, how can I apply the tax collector's humility to a specific challenging relationship or situation in my life this week? And then say, "Be merciful to me, a sinner." Have a beautiful Sunday.